What's up, guys? Sheer here. Got a couple little videos today. This one is a video response from my man Gogo. Was asking me how I make my axles, and so I figure I'll show you guys a little bit about what's going on. Here's what I use: 032 brass rod. Okay, good for $1.55 pack. Comes in about 1 foot lengths, and if you look close, there's 5 of them in there. I'm not sure what the brand is. I don't even know. Anyway, you get it from the hobby shop. It's 032 brass rod, 81 millimeter. And of course, some of the little tools of the trade that you're going to need for your wheel swaps: hammer, a punch, something with a flat end, obviously a piece of your rod, your replacement wheels, which we're going to do a sandblaster today, small set of snips, an even smaller set of snips. These are getting kind of dull. I got to replace them. See how chewed up they are from cutting axles? Doesn't hurt to have a pair of needle nose, you know what I mean, to pull the old axles out. And you know, your base to a sandblaster. Okay, and then you know, I've already got it popped out of the case here, so I can put it back in. I'll show you how to do that, hopefully, if I got enough time. So here we go. Basically, what you're going to do with this brass rod is, when you start snipping on it, you always want to crimp. You always want to flatten the end that you've hit with the snippers, because this end, you know, is straight out of the package. That's the side you're always going to slip the wheel on. Okay, so I have a little vise over here, which you're not going to be able to see the vise, because I'd be moving my phone around. I can't hold the phone and bash the tip all at once. But you take your end and you mash this edge flat, real easy. Just overlap it a little bit on the end. See if I got it. Sometimes it's hard to do it in the dark. Need a better lighting over here. Alright, now you can kind of see that is smacked flat. See how it's got a flat spot in it? So now you should be able to slip one wheel on all the way down. Right? You take your base. Okay, you put the axle, hold on. Sometimes when you remove the other axle, you got to get the tab out of the way so that your new axle will seat. Make sure that your little, and I'm not gonna be able to show it. Make sure your little tabs are bent open on that. So you take your wheel, okay. You got to be really careful with this brass rod because it'll bend real easy. Slip it in there like that. Take your other wheel, slip it on. Okay, now you want to give it a little bit of play, but there, you're basically seating it just like that. See? Pull it all the way over, and take your snips and you snip in as close into there as you can. I like to leave a little bit of play that way, and then I pull it out like that and I'm holding on to it, right? And then you just take it and pop it off of there. Now, you've got the axle, you got your 2 wheels on there. Now you're going to mushroom this side down with your punch. Basically, to hold the wheels on there. Looks like I got it. Okay, so now the wheels are on there, right? Made your axle. You set it in here. It's obviously way too wide. So when you do, you just go back in here and you use your punch and you just keep backing it up onto the axle a little bit until you get it the right length. Okay, now it's mushroomed up pretty good. Now you just fit it in here. And you want to leave a little bit of play, you know what I mean? Like, I like to leave a little bit of play. This is still just a little bit too much. So we'll take it in just a bit. Each time, just move it in just the tiniest bit so that you don't overdo it, you know? It takes a little while doing it this way, but I like to do it this way, then it's in there. Okay, now, fits like a champ, right? Everything's in there. Wheels still spin good. Now, you're left with this huge flat spot. You can see that. I kind of keep it against my shirt. What I do is I snip off back as far as I can so that when you put the axle on there, you can't see the brass rod sticking out of the center of the rim, right? That's that's in theory, right? And if you want to be all professional, okay, I've snipped it back to just a little piece. If you want to be all professional, what you can do is you dig in here and you find your little black marker, paint marker. And you paint the end of it. You just hit it with some paint. Okay, and you can just move it right away to the other side. Okay? Just hitting the tip of it with a paint pen. Now, you've got this axle made. Alright? Ready to go. Now you can do the same thing for the back one, so I'll breeze through it kind of quick because I don't want to run out of minutes here. Find your cut end. Come on, baby. Stay on there. Got your flat spot. Put your wheels on. I like to put on the outside wheel like that, slide it all the way down, and I put the other one on like that. I put it on opposite, so they're already on there before I put it on the chassis. Slide it down. Find your tip right here, and you can pull it back off. And then if you want, you can walk it down a little bit. You just gotta be careful. Get your other axle. Now, if you make your axle too short, it's not any big deal, you know what I mean? Because you can always cut it off and do it again. You got lots of axle material here. This one's got a little bit of play in it. I just want to smack this one side down. We'll shorten it up just a bit. It's a little bit time consuming, but inevitably your outcome is pretty good, you know what I mean? You get your axles to fit and you can a lot. Now see, this one will roll. I made it a little bit tight, but that's alright. I like a tight roll, and you know, I'm not going to be racing a sandblaster with Real Riders down any track anyways, so. But you know, as long as you got it just tight enough so that it'll roll. You don't want it too tight. Take your marker. You know, like I'm showing you guys how to hit it with a marker, and a lot of times I'm so lazy I don't even do this, you know what I mean? But if you snip the axle in tight enough, you shouldn't have to hit it with the marker too much. But you know, it looks cleaner. It looks a little bit more factory, I guess. You figure on a regular axle, you still see that chrome flat piece on the end. So, all right, so there you go. All right, voila, all done. Now these wheels are a little bit small for this sandblaster body, only because you know, the base dips way down. It'll still roll. And you guys know I pre-drill my stuff. See, my holes are drilled. I've already tapped I haven't put a thread in them, but I've already tapped the center and then drilled them out. Well, if all goes right and I get it proper, you gonna cooperate with me? Or are we gonna play games? There we go. Now, there's my sandblaster. You know, those wheels are kind of small. They're not as big as the other ones, but it looks pretty good. So now, see if my wax isn't really melted. But now you take your tap, and I, you know, of course, I put the little handheld screw deal on it. And since my wax is still kind of hard, oh wait, there's some loose. Take it, and you feed it in. Which I broke my original 256 drill bit, so I'm using a bigger drill bit. So I tend to only have to make one pass a lot of times. I won't say always. And then you see you got metal shavings and stuff in here, and I just take a little like here's a little screw off of, you know, like a lens crafter. Put your lenses in. And then you do your back one. I wonder if I left any screws out. You just, all you're doing is tapping the hole. You know, sometimes, you know, you should run it in a little bit and then back it up a little bit, you know, to make sure you get the metal shavings out of it. You know, it's just like tapping anything else. You just run a little bit in, run a little bit out. Nothing to it. Double it back in. I like to go in until I feel it get tight, so it's at the bottom, you know what I mean? So the screw drops right in. I'll watch my time, I'm at 12 minutes. Bear with me, guys. I gotta get some screws. They're in the little container behind you. This is my impromptu go-go video because he's needing to learn how to make axles. Now this came from Harbor Freight. It's a Pittsburgh, and it's got a small, you know, 0.50 screw tip, and now you see the little screw. I know my camera's going to zoom in on it, but you just take it, and once it's tapped, it'll drop right in. I usually put them in until they start to grab. You don't want to strip it out, because that way if you want to, you know, change the wheels on it later or something like that, you can get into it easy. Do the same thing. Spin it in there. I learned all this stuff off of John Poochman, so I mean, you know, I owe it all to him. He showed the same way. He uses the little, you know, the little bead at the end to cut his axles. He used to do it the way I'm doing it, but there you go. All done. Tap, tap. Now you want to be tricky. Take it over here. Stick it back in the package. Super Sandblaster. And then now, when I put the acetone on it, I'll put a popsicle stick on the front and the back. After I've wet it with the acetone, if you re-wet the cardboard with the acetone, and that's all you got to do. And I put it in front of a fan. So there it is. A little quick swap-a-rino with some wheels off of another one of these Treks. So, Super Sandblaster. So what I'll do is I'll seal this, and I got a fines video. I'll come back and show you this all sealed up and good to go. Alright? See you guys in a few minutes. Later.